Grace and peace, everybody. We're in part number 3 of this series, looking at the promise of living not ashamed, but also the warning of living shamefully. And getting to a point where we don't even feel shame anymore. We left off talking about the prophecy against Babylon in Isaiah. But one of the things you'll notice about this mentality, even when it was applied to other nations who had rejected God and his Redeemer, Jesus Christ, you'll notice some commonalities. And you'll notice that they get to a point where they no longer feel bad about what they're doing. And so they want to actually show off who they are. And part and parcel of that mentality is literally exposing themselves, showing their bodies, showing out. So now let's go to the word. Here in Jeremiah, a contrast to what we see there, God's promise and his plan for us in the garden. No, now, because of sin, it says in verse 22, "And if thou say in thine heart, wherefore come these things upon me? For the greatness of thine iniquity are thy skirts discovered, and thy heels made bare. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil." So now, "Therefore I will scatter them as a stubble that passeth away by the wind of the wilderness. This is thy lot, the portion of thy measures from me, saith the Lord, because thou hast forgotten me and trusted in falsehood. Therefore will I discover thy skirts upon thy face, that thy shame may appear. I have seen thine adulteries and thy nyings, the lewdness of thy whoredom, and thine abominations on the hills and in the fields. Woe unto thee, O Jerusalem! Wilt thou not be made clean? When shall it once be?" Wow, this is not a word against Babylon. This is a word against Jerusalem. The people of God had gotten to a point to where now they're living in sin. And one of the ways we know that they're living in sin because it is describing their adulterous affairs, not just figuratively, but literally. God says, "I hear your nyings. I hear your lustful moanings. I see how you're acting, your skirts over your head, your feet exposed," because the people of God have decided to expose themselves. They're now in a shameful state. And to the point now where they start to live shamelessly. Not only in Jeremiah, look in Ezekiel. The prophet Ezekiel speaks a word here, and the people are described as harlots. "Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them. Behold, therefore, I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all of them that thou hast loved, with all that thou hast hated. I will even gather them round about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness. And I will judge thee as women that break wedlock and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy, and I will give thee into their hand, and they shall throw down thine eminent place, and shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewels, and leave thee naked and bare." This is a lot. This is somewhat dark, and I know it's heavy, but it's real. This is how God sees us when we are in sin. And it's a much clearer. We're not talking about 720p. We're not talking about 310p. We're talking about high definition 4K. This is how our Redeemer sees us when he is appealing to us to accept his redemption. This is how God sees us when he's trying to let us know, hey, I love you and I want you to come to me. But we can only see this through the light of his glory. We can only see ourselves in the light of his glory, and that's why he's given us this word. He's given us these verses for us to understand who we really are when we're in our mess. And the description of being naked, and the description of being in whoredom, and the description of harlotry, all of these illustrations are given to us to see the true point that we can get to. To where we're not just feeling guilty and we're not just feeling ashamed, but we can stop feeling shame and even live shamefully, showing off what we should actually be casting off. The word is real, and it's again trying to get us to understand our situation so it can get us into salvation. So let's get into that in the next study.